Hello everybody, you're welcome to this week's Forex Outlook with Great White FX for the 16th to 20th of January 2023. So, without wasting so much of your time, let's get down to business to see what this week has for us. So, we're going to start off with the economic calendar. So looking at the economic calendar, well, Monday has bank holiday for the US, so that means the New York session might be a bit slow. Then we have high impact news on CAD, then on the yen pairs, then USD on Wednesday. I think the yen pairs is going to be very, very significant. It's going to be very, very, very significant. So now that out of the way, let's get down to our charts. As always, we're going to start with NASDAQ at US 100. So I'm going to remove everything and remove all my drawings. Okay, so looking at NASDAQ from the weekly, this might still rally up. It might still rally up, but if we're looking at the range, this is the daily range. So price for now is within the premium level. So we might see a bit of a pullback into this before a continuation to the upside. So if we look at the daily, as I was saying on the daily, we can see this range. Price is right back into that range, and it's not so far from this daily fair value gap. So I believe coming into the new week, it may tap it, and if it can't move any further, then we might see the retracement for internal liquidity. And there is not much of internal liquidity except till somewhere down here on this pair. So that out of the way, if we go down to the 4-hour time frame, this is what we have on the 4-hour time frame. Then if we then put in our annotations, this is basically what we have. So we have this imbalance here, which if price still rallies, it may try to fill it, and if it gets rejected from there, then we might see the correction. So what we're looking at is something like this. If it rallies into here and gets rejected, we might see something like this. Then price might then move back lower. That's what we have on price. So for this pair, we might still see it's still bullish. Order flow on this pair is still bullish. Until we see a corrective move, then it might still continue to the upside on the NASDAQ. So the next pair we're going to be looking at is the dollar index. So looking at the dollar index, this pair has been weak for some time. If we look at where price is now on the weekly, price is within this bullish order block here. That's these two last down candles before this open. So that's where we have price now on the weekly. We'll go to the daily time frame and see that price is, this could serve for also a bullish order block. This could also serve for a bullish order block. Last major down candle before this up move. That's where price is now. Then if we move into the 4-hour time frame, put in our notations, this is basically what we have. But looking at this pair, it may still move down before moving up. That's the way I see it. There's liquidity here, and then there is a fair value gap here on the 4-hour. That's between these two areas, between 101.82 to 101.78. So if it's to drop, it may target here before continuing to the upside. But that depends on what we see on Monday. What we see on Monday will determine what the market would want to do. So for now, order flow on the dollar index is still to the downside. So the next way we're going to be looking at is EURUSD. Order flow on this pair is still to the upside. But if you're looking at premium to discount, this pair is deep in discount. If you take your fee from this point to this point, you can see that price is way above 62%. Price is way above the 62%. So for now, this pair is still bullish, but if to get a better offering on on long positions, you need to wait for the retracement. Buy side liquidity above 107.86 has been swept. And if you look to the left on the daily, these two down candles, these two up candles form a bullish, bearish order block. And that's where we are right now. Although we have liquidity above all these highs here, so that depends if price decides to sweep this high before dropping. Because now that it has taken this liquidity, I can't tell what it might likely do next. But order flow on this pair is still to the upside. That's the storyline there. So the next pair we're going to be looking at is GBPUSD. Looking at, I didn't put my annotations on the EURUSD. So if we go down to the 4-hour time frame, I'm putting annotations. This is basically what we have. This is basically what we have. So depends on what happens on Monday. If they move above this area, this fair value gap, that's if we get a close above there, the price is most likely going to continue higher. But if we get a close below Friday's low, Friday's close, that's Friday's close, then we might see price coming in for any of these areas. So the next one we're going to be looking at is pound GBPUSD. So looking at the GBPUSD, order flow on this is still slightly to the upside. It's still bullish. The order flow is still bullish. If we go into the daily, it has taken buy side liquidity here, and it's within this fair value gap. There's a fair value gap between this point to this point. If you notice, that's where price is. Price didn't close above it. If I put in my annotations, you're going to see it. Price didn't close above it. So there's a possibility this may retrace a bit, because where it is not a point where you want to take a long position. So there's a possibility it might retrace a bit before continuing back to try and fill this fair value gap. So for this pair, order flow is still bullish, but we might see a bit of a retracement before a continuation back to the upside. So the next pair we're going to be looking at is gold. So I'm going to remove my annotations. Order flow on this pair is still bullish. But if you look at it on the weekly, if you look to your left, two up candles before this down move, price is at a bearish order block on the weekly time frame. Price at the bearish order block, and it's just few pips away from closing in this weekly fair value gap here. If we go down now to the daily time frame, there's still a fair value gap also. You see it here. That's from this point to this point. By the time I put in my annotation, see it. It has closed up the consequent encroachment of the weekly gap. That's that weekly gap, it has closed it, and I believe it should also have closed consequent encroachment of this daily fair value gap. Let's see. Yes, it has closed it. It's at getting close to the upper 25% range. So for this pair, still bullish, but I'm of the opinion we might see a bit of a corrective move before a continuation on gold. Given where it is, it has closed it. So if it spikes into here and gets rejected, then it may move lower, may correct that. That means it has filled in the imbalance and it may seek buy side liquidity, because the next liquidity comes in between these 2 points here on the daily time frame. So apart from that, if we go back to the 4-hour time frame, and coupled with the fact that price is within a weekly bearish order block, well, this might just rally a bit, then continue back down. So the next pair on this we're going to look at is the EURGBP. EURGBP, basically I can't tell what this pair wants to do. I wouldn't try to say I know. But with this formation on the weekly, there is a possibility it might be running for this rejection point here. There's a possibility it might be running for this rejection point. Let's look at it from the daily point of view. It swept buy side liquidity at this high and then folded back in. So on the daily, it's giving something like a dark cloud, which is a bearish signal from this high. So going into this new week, I don't know if it might continue to the downside or this might just, because if you look at this pair, it's in a range. It just swept the range high. So it might move into the range before continuing back to the upside. So if we put in our notations, this is basically what we have. So I believe below this low here, then it might target the lower end of the range. But if it stays above here, then we might see price try to still move higher. But for this pair, I'm not so certain of it. The next pair we're going to be looking at is GBPCHF. So I'm going to remove all my annotations. So this pair have a bullish move on the weekly. Have a bullish move on the weekly. But if we go to the daily time frame, well, order flow on the daily is slightly to the upside because we have a new high. It has been ranging for a while, but price has closed above all these sets of range highs now. So this last down candle can serve, last up candle can serve as a bearish order block on the daily. So that's where we can see price is rejecting from. And so if we move down to the 4-hour time frame and put in our annotations, you can basically see that there's been a move above all this liquidity here. So we have made a new high, but we didn't take out this high, but it's still a new high. So we might see a bit of a corrective move on this pair before a continuation back to the downside. So the next pair we're going to be looking at, before we look at the pound yen, we're going to look at the yen basket. Just like I said last week, I said that if this pair stays above here, we're going to see a rally. You can go back and watch the video, and that played out massively. So looking at this pair now, on the 4-hour time frame, let's look at it from the daily first. It's kind of in a range, but with a bullish tilt. It's kind of in a range, but in a bullish tilt. It's not closing above the high it's taking. So that points to the fact that we might see price, and it's rejecting. There is this rejection block here. This rejection block here, and see that price drop from there before this high now. So if we go back to the daily time frame, buy side liquidity to the 4-hour time frame, buy side liquidity has been taken. There's a possibility this may retrace. How low I can't say. But if you look at the first time it took out this, it dropped really hard. Will that still happen? I don't know. But given the news coming out on Tuesday, that's the high impact news for the yen coming out on Wednesday, we might see a bit of a correction. Before a continuation to the upside again. So with that, if we go into the pound yen, we might say that this may sweep this liquidity here before continuing back to the upside. So let's look at this from the weekly setup. If we look at it, there's a rejection block here. Rejection block here before this swing low here on the weekly. This is still pointing down. But if we go to the daily setup, that weekly rejection block is here, and we have this sell side liquidity at this point and this point. So I believe price may sweep this low. If it sweeps it and starts turning back to the upside, then we might see a continuation. If we look to the left, well, if we look to the left, we don't have much here. But this low is significant. So price may sweep it a bit, then continue back to the upside. But for this pair, other flow is to the downside. Price is making new lows. But if price doesn't take out this high, this low, then we might see a bit of a retracement. So that does it for this week. So don't forget to like and share if you find this video helpful. I wish everybody a blessed Sunday and a beautiful and wonderful trading week ahead. So goodbye, everybody.